I think purpose is very closely linked to a struggle that we've overcome and conquered, and then using that to help people go through a similar process. When I was 7 years old, I was involved in a car accident, and I lost my mom and brother in that accident. And that's the thing, is about losses we go through in life, you can turn them and you can use them as an experience for growth. My name's Daniel Marsh. I'm the founder and director of Marsh Fidelity. We're a business that focuses on administration of deceased estates, will drafting, and trust fund management. The loss and everything that I'd been through, the qualifications that I'd recently attained, it all lined up in that moment. I knew that this would be the work that I'd be doing for the rest of my life.
Daniel Marsh, thank you for being here and for having us and for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Luke. I'm so grateful you contacted me.
Yeah.
I knew that when we met up that this was something I'd really be interested in doing.
Cool.
So really happy that we managed to get this started and rolling.
Yes, even though we had to reschedule.
Yes.
So biggest news of all
Yes.
is you have had a little boy arrive, your
Yes.
first child.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. Little Luke arrived on the 10th of May. Beautiful experience at Hillcrest Private Hospital. Staff there were wonderful. They made us feel at home. So yeah, it was a big life event. And I know what people say now when you have kids, you go to a depth of love and an experience through that process that you can't learn in a book. You have to live through it.
Completely.
And I'm big on learning through living and going through experiences in life. We can read as much as we can, but I think when you live through certain events in life, you gain a little bit of more depth. And having a child has definitely changed the way that I look at the world. The way that I love in general has changed now, because you become less about yourself and your daily routine. It's now all focused on this little human being.
Very focused on this little being. Yeah.
It's still early days, getting used to little sleep, but we're getting there.
That's awesome, bro. And so congratulations.
Thank you.
To you and Hannah.
Thank you.
And I'm really, really stoked for you guys, really happy, and it's really exciting. I remember our first one arriving, and it's such a shift in the world and the way we see things.
Yes. And also the love that you have for your spouse. I already loved Han so much, but the way that she carried herself, the strength she had through the whole process, caring for Luke in those early days, getting up in the evenings, that love as well has grown even more through this experience. I'm really grateful for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, Daniel, can you, maybe for the people who don't know you, introduce yourself?
Okay.
And just share with us what you do.
Perfect.
High level.
Cool. So my name's Daniel Marsh. I'm the founder and director of Marsh Fidelity. We're a business that focuses on administration of deceased estates, will drafting, and trust fund management. The way that I came into this profession was not something that I'd planned to fall into. But as soon as I did my first deceased estate, I knew that this would be the work that I'd be doing for the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
So I think that what I aligned to this being my purpose is, I think purpose is very closely linked to a struggle that we've overcome and conquered, and then using that to help people go through a similar process. So
that's awesome.
I grew up in Zimbabwe, a small little town called Bulawayo, and it was a very close-knit community, very authentic, solid community. And part of the drive that I had to forming this business and really pushing it was that I had gone through a child trauma. When I was 7 years old, I was involved in a car accident on the way back from a church camp, and I lost my mom and brother in that accident. And because I was so young, I didn't know how to heal, and there's no way you can heal through grief. Grief is it's unique to each person. And even when I talk about my mom today, I'm 32 years old now, I can still feel a little bit of pain, but I've managed to move that into a direction of power and representing their lives well. So something that I always try and encourage people is that don't let a setback take you away from your potential. And I went through a stage where I nearly let that setback ruin the potential that I had to make a difference in the world. So I went through life, I finished school in Zim, and then I went to Rhodes University. And when I was at Rhodes, my second year, it all just really hit me. Like everything that I'd been through, I didn't know how to love myself. Anyone who tried to show me love, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm not in for this. And I really became a recluse. I got academically excluded from Rhodes University. My average was around 25%. And I was quite an academic. So I just literally was not going to write exams. And I wasn't doing anything. I didn't want to be anything.
What do you think that was? What do you think was going on there?
I think a lot of it comes from, I think a mother's love is so important during high school, and not having that love through those years. Although my dad was absolutely awesome, and you can't blame anyone for the way that you process a loss. So it wasn't anything to do with anyone close to me. It was just myself trying to heal.
Yes.
And I was just like at a point where I thought that I didn't belong, and I felt like I couldn't give anything to this world. And when I took that year off, I like really had a year of like complete healing. And there was this one time when I was like, I need to go somewhere remote and away from everything, away from the noise. I need to be silent, away from social media, everything like that. So I went on a mission trip, and I lived in a rural village in Zimbabwe, just outside of Bulawayo, my hometown.
Yes.
I slept on the floor, most comfortable night's sleep I've had. Because during the day we were building a primary school for these little kids in the village there, and just seeing these kids walking 10Ks to get education.
Yes.
It's like the amount of humility that hit me that day, and the opportunity that I was throwing away, because I had access to private university in South Africa. These kids were walking 10Ks. And something started to shift in me. And we were building this primary school and all of this. And then the one evening we were there, and they were like singing praise and worship songs. And just that love that the Lord gave me that night, my faith became something that changed my direction of my life completely.
Yes.
The Lord's love touched me that evening, and everyone's got their thing that they turn to in times of need. Ever since that moment, I've never felt alone. I've always felt loved.
That's awesome.
And from there, we moved. I finished up with that mission trip. I reapplied to Rhodes. I was like, I'm not going to let this university experience be a negative one. Wrote to the Dean of Commerce.
So let's just pause there.
Yes.
You said something I picked up on. You said that something started to shift inside of you.
Yes.
In that space.
Yes.
Where you were volunteering.
Yes.
You were seeing the kids walking to and from school.
Yes.
What was it do you feel that was shifting inside of you?
Seeing these children's work ethic and commitment to being better human beings. When I saw these young people with a drive to get education, to go and take the cattle out at 5 a.m., I was like, the way that I've been living has been so lazy.
Okay.
So, and that's when I started to say, like, geez, like there is people that don't have access to what we have, but they're moving in ways which are like incredible.
Okay.
So that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
So,
sorry, let's carry on.
Yes. Yeah. So that was that part. And then, so I wrote to the Dean of Commerce at Rhodes University, and I said, sir, this is my experience. I don't want it to be negative. I really believe I can get my degree. And he said, like, Daniel, just work on your spelling, but you readmitted. I was like, my spelling's still bad, eh?
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm coming in. So I reapplied, got back to Rhodes in 2012, really put my head down. My final year, I had to write around 13 modules instead of 8. So I've majored in management and economics. There's 4 modules per. And I managed to pass everything, and I got my degree in those 2 years. And I think since getting my degree, after such a setback, like I believe that I could do anything now. And like I knew that if you just push past that boundary that you think you can't go past, when you get past that marker, you realize like, oh, like when another storm comes, I've been through a storm and I've been through many storms, and you pull power from each storm you go through. So I think that that was important, that degree.
So from what I'm hearing, I'm hearing you saying that degree and doing that degree in those 2 years helped you realize that you can do way more than what you think you're capable of.
100%.
What is it do you think that holds us back from achieving or going for something bigger than what we feel we can?
I definitely think it's experiences in life. And I think that's why I'm an advocate now to let especially up and coming professionals know that if your experience at school wasn't good, it doesn't mean that you're not good. You've got unlimited potential if you find what you love to do, but if you just keep going, if you don't give up. And my experience was a personal loss that I went through, but that personal loss, no matter what you lose in your life, don't let it take away your ability to achieve your full potential. For me, I realized in a point in my life that what would my mom and brother want to see me achieve? And when we give up on ourselves, that's not what our loved ones want us to see and achieve. Yeah. So I think personal experience sets us back, but that's the whole thing, is that life is not perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to go through losses, and you must use a loss as a place where you can draw power from.
Okay. So is that something that you've put in practice since this experience on that mission trip?
Yes.
Or was that something that you had done beforehand?
No. It was basically from that mission trip and getting my degree and putting my head down.
Okay.
Because remember, like, you have to be super diligent to achieve things. So like even when I started Marsh Fidelity, we started it a month after lockdown.
Yes.
I couldn't go to the courts. I couldn't meet with clients in person and be with them. But that was an opportunity for me to lift burdens, and I was in a perfect space because I could connect with the loss. And I'd recently just completed a diploma through UNIS, and I did really well in that. So I was specialized in deceased estate management.
Okay.
So it came into a space where I couldn't really meet people, but the way the doors opened was literally a few weeks after I started the business. I met with a financial planner, and he was an executor on wills. And he was busy with portfolio management, so he couldn't manage the estate side. And I met with him, and I just said, listen, this is my vision, this is my story. I love this work, I really love it, and I'm going to make your clients happy, and I'm going to make sure that your brand is protected through it. And he said, like, Daniel, after that interview, I'm going to refer every estate to you going forward. And the next week, one of his clients unfortunately passed, and that was one of my first estates that I did for Marsh Fidelity. And ever since then, we've just been growing.
That's awesome. So I can see when I'm talking with you, and we connected a couple of weeks ago. We had some coffee, and we met there.
Yes.
And your passion for this exudes.
Oh, thanks, Luke.
In conversation, and it really does. It's almost contagious, and I walked away from that feeling like, hey, flip, this guy just loves what he does.
Yeah.
And I can even see when you're talking about it now, your whole face lights up, your eyes light up.
Yes.
So I know managing deceased estates and working so closely with death isn't for everyone.
No.
And I can imagine it can be quite difficult at times.
Yes.
But what would you say is the driving factor behind doing this, and why you love it so much?
So I think there's quite a few factors. Like, I love all aspects of the estate administration process. Remember, it's not a short process. On average in South Africa, it's 12 months till a beneficiary gets paid out. So I think the number one driving factor is Marsh Fidelity. Our mission statement is basically the way that our culture, I want our business to run, is to create an enduring difference. So in that critical time in a family's life, we want to lift burdens. We want to be able to take away stress of administration of an estate and let the family really heal and focus on the loss. Because if you don't have a will in place and your husband dies, the amount of stress that is sparked just on that one little thing is huge. So just we're trying to provide clarity in this field where it can be smooth. It's not always a negative space. And we're trying to put a spin on it that like, we're here to support. We will do what we need to do to help you. And you're not alone through this process. You'll have your family, but when a family is now involved in the administration, they're in a field that they've never touched in their lives.
And it's quite complex.
Very complex.
I've done this because I know this because I've done it myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a very complex space.
Yeah. And also like the Master of the High Court, if your estate's over 250,000, you need to appoint a professional anywhere.
Yeah.
So you might have a spouse on as your executor, but then you die and your estate's R1 million. Now that spouse needs to go and look for someone. Who do you trust? Yeah. Who do you call for?
So what is it about for yourself, for for Daniel?
Yes.
What is it about looking after someone's estate and helping them through this time?
Yeah.
Which is, it's a very difficult time.
Yeah.
You know, dealing with loss and dealing with the loss of especially someone you loved.
Yes. Yes.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard on the clients. It's hard on the person. So
Very
what is
tough.
it about the space that you love? Like for Daniel.
Yeah.
What is it that you love about it?
So I think I love the fact, even though I went through that loss when I was younger, I love the fact that I have an opportunity to help a family through that process, because I know grief and I know how deeply hurtful it can be. And for me to have a hand in helping someone alleviate a little bit of grief through just being a complete support system. I love being able to connect to families. I love meeting families, and even though it's not in a good space, but by the end of the period, I become friends with a lot of our clients. And I'm trying to instill that in the new staff members that we've been employing, is that like, we want to be a business that really cares. And I mean, you can speak as much as you want, but when you leave someone and they feel a bit lighter, that's where our impact is.
Yeah.
Like you said, like when you met me, you could feel the energy. Same with me. When I met you, I could feel your energy about the podcast. And it's about just small interactions where someone walks away and they feel a little bit better. And that's all we're about. It doesn't need to be a massive thing. It's just when we interact with you, we need to be conscious that there's been a loss. We need to be respectful, and we need to be kind and patient. And those are our principles.
Yeah, which is not something you find with a lot of these places.
Yeah, and that's where we found the gap.
Okay.
Is because during COVID, a lot of people had wills with big institutions. And when this person came into their life as an executor, they didn't know a thing about the family. Communication was taking months. We very keen on communication. Okay. Surviving spouses they're allowed to have my personal WhatsApp number. They can communicate anytime with me, even after hours, because we have cases where just a small answer can provide so much peace. So like a spouse will say, Daniel, my TV license now, it was in my husband's name. I don't know what to do. We just say, don't worry, we're going to sort it out. Just send us a license number. Do you want to transfer it or cancel? Just those short little quick interactions provide peace. And then the trust is formed.
Yeah.
Because when you clear in your communication, trust just becomes part of that whole system. But if you're secretive in your stuff and you're not open with clients, I don't want a client to ever walk away from a meeting with us and say, what did he mean? Or what did he say?
Yeah.
I want them to walk away
important.
Say, yes, walk away and say, everything that I needed to have answered was answered today, and let's move on. And that's where the peace comes in our service.
Yeah. It's such a powerful way to build brand, because we want to associate ourselves with brands that are the most human.
Yes.
And we want to associate ourselves with brands and build a relationship with a brand.
Yes.
That has a proven track record of trust, and that we can feel that we can trust them.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, bro. It's amazing that you do that. And
thank you.
I think, it's such a... I can see how your experience as a child in that loss has... From my perspective, I can see how that has informed and formed your purpose that you talk about now.
Yes.
So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I see from my perspective is you had this incredible loss as a child.
Yeah.
You and your dad.
Yes.
And out of that loss, through your life journey, you've come to this point where you can say, wow, you actually came across this opportunity that says you can provide support,
yes,
detailed and intimate support, with people who are going through the same situation.
Yes.
And how do you think that experience you had as a child, in what ways has it affected the way that, do you think, has it affected the way that you do what you do?
So I think the most important thing that I've learned about myself through this process is that when you understand someone's pain, you've got patience. And I think the problem with the state administration is people can't connect to that pain as often. So I've got so much patience for my clients. And I think that adds so much value. Because remember, this field, you only experience it, you only lose your spouse once, and if you remarry twice in your life. So that one experience, they don't know what to expect. A lot of clients have a lot of questions, but because I can connect to that pain, my patience is so much more for them, and my love for them as well. Because I think that if we do things in business through love, and you go through a process where you really feel like my work is making a difference, you work differently. And I felt that. I definitely felt that, because I used to, I was a financial account management manager for KFC businesses, my first job. So I ran 6 KFC stores, financial management, stock management, management accounts, very good experience for estate work. Because remember, estate work isn't all legal. It's majority of it is financial. There's a liquidation and distribution account that needs to be submitted. So that experience wasn't, I enjoyed the work because I like numbers, but I couldn't feel the drive and the energy because I wasn't connecting with anything.
Okay.
And then I know that we shared briefly, but one of the first estates that I did after doing these KFC businesses, I'm still very close with the family that owned them. So that relationship is still ongoing and they've been awesome. But I met, one of the first estates I did was the Hillcrest town clerk. And him and his wife both got cancer at the same time.
Wow.
And he was an amazing man. We became very good friends, qualified CA, gave most of his life to service. And unfortunately, hers got progressively worse and his didn't. And they'd been married for over 50 years and she passed away. And this was one of the first estates that I got in. And when I met with him in person, I just said to him, listen, I'm sorry about your loss. I know that it couldn't have been easy. And then I didn't know him well. And he said, Daniel, can I tell you, like, the greatest achievement I've ever had in my life was being my wife's carer until she died.
Wow.
Holding her in my hands. That's the biggest blessing I've had in my life. So he turned, and that's the thing is about losses we go through in life. You can turn them and you can use them as an experience for growth. So just that interaction, the character that I learned from this man and the humility that I had in those moments, I was like, this is the work I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And it all connected. The loss and everything that I'd been through, the qualifications that I'd recently attained, it all lined up in that moment. And he was just like one of my biggest supporters early on. So,
that's awesome. So
it's little things like that, but I'm always learning through estates. Remember, everyone's life is different. And when a person passes, I see the whole map because I have to move stuff to beneficiaries. So I think it's important that we connect there, but it's also important that our business, we make sure that we employ people that are highly qualified, very specialized. We don't do financial planning. We don't sell insurance. We do administration of estates, trust fund management, and wills. So we got a lot of time and energy to focus on those and the families. So like for me, I did an advanced diploma in estate and trust administration last year whilst running the business, and I passed really well in that. And then I got a qualification called an FPSA, Fiduciary Practitioner of South Africa. And that's the highest qualification you can get kind of at this stage for estate work. So that helps a lot because I think that education as well provides clarity to clients. So the years that I've invested in education, when I meet with a client and they've got a bit of an issue with an estate, I can provide an answer which can save time And that's what education
does.
And
it builds trust.
Exactly. And we're not here, we're a business that makes money, and we have to, because I need to support people in our business. We've got families of our own, but we're honest and we're open about all of this. And that's key. Awesome. Yeah.
I think from what I'm picking up and just hearing you talk about is there's been a big word that you haven't mentioned yet.
Yes.
And it's the word empathy.
Yes.
I think just in me meeting you and interacting with you, there is a huge aspect of empathy that you have.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And the ability to connect with people and understand them.
Yeah.
And I think in this line of business, it's something.
Yeah.
And maybe it's your superpower. I don't know, but it's such an important thing.
Yes.
Is being able to relate and connect with someone and understand their pain.
Yeah.
And only in understanding someone's situation can you have patience with them, as you said.
Yes.
And that is such a crucial thing, and it's so amazing. And well done on that, bro.
Thank you.
I mean, about 3 years ago, my father passed away, and we went through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the amount of service providers I dealt with that had zero empathy.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
It is.
Like and
it's sad.
I couldn't believe the fact that I was on the phone 30 minutes after my father passed away, and I was having to phone around looking for a funeral service to come and take his body away from the hospital. And the way that the customer-facing people dealt with me in that moment was horrific.
But you see, Luke, you still remember that.
Yeah, I do.
And that's
completely.
it about. Yeah. There's two sides. So I remember you chatted, you said that, so that's about an enduring difference. In your moment of need, that first interaction, you'll never forget it in a negative way. Yeah. But then you said that you had actually called someone else then.
Yes, and they had this their service was amazing. He was empathetic.
Yes.
He was like, don't worry, we've got this all looked after.
Awesome.
And he came at half the price, double the difference.
Exactly.
And I was like, I will continue to recommend them. Even though I don't have it's not like going to the store and buying chicken.
Yes, yeah.
But it's like,
you remember them fondly.
Remember them fondly.
Yes.
Because of the experience I had with them.
Exactly.
And if you can just continue doing that.
That's our goal,
That's amazing.
That's our culture, Luke, and that's what we're about. And we also understand that, remember, that everyone's time after loss is crucial. So especially those first few months. If a surviving spouse is our client, they're going to have as much support as we can possibly give to them afterwards. Yeah. Because it's an ongoing thing. And I think that the relationships that I've formed with surviving spouses and kids and everything, it's awesome, because they contact me even a few years down the line and just say, listen, I still remember your help.
That's awesome.
And I want our business to be known for that.
Yeah. So how do you not let people get lost in the system? Because, I mean, you'll have a number of clients.
Yes.
And maybe you're dealing with 7 estates at the same time.
Yes.
What is your approach on making sure that those people don't get lost in this? Just, it takes months.
Yes.
It's a long, tedious process.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that they don't get lost in the system? And just as another number in your book.
Yeah. So firstly, it's very important, and everyone that I bring on to Marsh Fidelity, they have to in some way align with our vision and our mission statement. So firstly, what we do is we have weekly meetings every week, and we run through every single estate that we do in that meeting. If that meeting is going to take 4 hours, we're going to sit there for 4 hours.
Bring the coffee and the biscuits.
Yes, and we've got a checklist so that every week something's rolling on every single estate that we do. And then what we do is every month we send our clients a progress report. So you as a family will get an email from Marsh Fidelity. This is what we've done today. This month we've placed Section 29 adverts. We've approached a bank. Remember, the inefficiency is only growing in terms of the FICA required by banks because of fraud. They're taking on average 4 months to close a bank account now.
That's crazy.
On average. The High Court at the moment, they're very understaffed. So that's why professionals like us, we make a massive difference, especially in Africa and in KZN, because we work together with the courts to help families. So we don't let anything fall through the cracks because we have weekly meetings. Those monthly progress reports that we send through as well, we've got a checklist, and it also prompts you to move with stuff. But our ultimate goal is to finish an estate and pay out a beneficiary. That's our goal, and we run for that.
Yeah.
So that's our process. That we've got other internal processes that we manage and we work on to keep us all tight. And we're also employing more people. So as the business grows, we've got our first employee was Leanne, and she's been amazing. She's a tax practitioner. She's got a course in administration of estates. She has been a huge help to the business. Awesome. And I've seen the growth through bringing people on. And we've got a new lady starting on 1 June that we're going to announce through our page soon.
That's cool.
We're trying to support the community through employment as well.
Yeah.
And where we can, at the end of each year, we like to give back to. There's a Drakensberg school that we help support. There's little local businesses, missionaries that we support as well.
That's cool.
So we want to be a business that gives back in all ways that we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important.
You want to give more, in some way you want to give more than what you get. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think do you know how many awesome businesses there are just in the Upper Highway area?
Right.
And
don't
people,
even get me started.
I'm telling you, and that's why I love this podcast.
Yeah.
Because just from the few short episodes I've seen, it's just like there are such incredible people.
Right.
And South Africans need to hear this. Yeah. South Africans have to have it because, you know what, there's still hope and you can hear it in people's voices. I'm not going anywhere. And I tell my clients that. I'm young. I started my business when I was 29 years old. And I had some important people help me move the business up. But a lot of it was just really hard work. And like when you're passionate about something, that the work hours don't come into it.
Yeah.
I was starting some days at 4 a.m. because I was studying as well. 4 a.m. to 7 studying, start my day, finish at 6 p.m. And that's the one resource you need to really put in when you start a business is your time and energy. It's going to sap you, but that's what you need to do to get a business rolling. No one gets gifted a business that runs well.
Yeah.
You are the reason it runs well and your people.
Or not well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
But Luke, I've just been really encouraged with the amount of amazing business owners and just hearing the podcasts and stories. You're doing an awesome job too.
Thanks, Bri.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute joy and privilege to do that and meeting people and connecting and networking and like even meeting you. I was like, flip.
Yeah.
This guy, you can see you love what you do.
Yeah.
And I want to understand why. Oh. And I think I have a much better understanding of why.
Yeah.
Which is what we need to communicate. And that's what my business is about too, is to help people figure out why they love stuff.
Yes.
Whether it's just a reminder or if it's figuring it out.
Yeah.
Figuring out what their purpose is and telling that story.
Yes.
So I'm glad that we got to tell a bit of that story today.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Luke.
And so I think we've covered a lot quickly, which is nice.
Yeah.
So let's give the viewers just some extra value here.
Yes.
What are 2 of the most common areas that you see in your space that you could advise people on that would make the biggest difference? So the highest impact for the smallest amount of energy.
Yeah. So I think basically the major thing is just make sure that you have a current will. A lot of people do have wills, but they leave it for years and they don't update when major life events happen. When anything major in your life happens, you have a new child, you have to update your will. You get married, you must update your will. And I think it's important to partner, secondly, with a qualified executor on your will. You need to have a professional now as executor, someone that's not doing this on the side, that it's their full-time purpose and job and duty, and someone that cares and loves that work. Because I think a lot of people, they'll have an executor on a will just because the will was for free. But they don't understand that there's a 12-month period that they're going to be interacting. And who's that person? Because a lot of the time with the major big corporates it's the name of the corporate. But who is the name? Like with our wills, all of the wills that we draft, I'm the executor. Daniel Marsh is executor, but failing Daniel, a senior employee of Marsh Fidelity. So you know that if Daniel dies, the clients get notified and then they can choose. But I think it's important, especially for parents and people with young kids, that they know who the executor is and they know that they're qualified. So having an up-to-date will, what we do as a business, we also prompt. So we'll send once a year an email to all of our clients. This is part of managing our ecosystem as well, because we really value our clients. And we just say, hey, just checking in. I hope everything's going. If there's anything you need from us, just shout. And then it might prompt someone to say, oh, I actually took out a bond. Do I need to update somewhere? And then we advise from there.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are two important things, I think, which are important.
Okay. So make sure you know your executor.
Yeah. And have a current
up-to-date will.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then for those who are out there starting their business.
Yes.
I guess we're all in some starting phase of something. Grab some water.
Yeah.
What would your golden piece of advice be for where you are now?
Yeah.
For people starting out.
So I think one of the most important things I would say is that you don't need a perfect setup to start a business. I started my business with an 11-year-old laptop, an internet connection, a chair and a desk. Okay, so you don't need to have anything big. You just need to start. And you need to just put time in. Even if you feel like you're not being productive, you have to sit at that desk and think. So a lot of my early times in Marsh Fidelity's journey was just early mornings, 4 a.m., and those sort of quiet, still thoughts helped with movement. So all you really need is your vision. You need energy. You have to have energy to be a business owner. But you also don't need the will to start. You just need a direction in your heart and a vision. Actually, a very cool thing is to put down a business plan. So what do you want to do? What do you want to sell? Because that business plan is going to help you pitch to clients. And you need to know it well yourself. You can't go in unprepared. So get a business plan started and then just put all of your time and energy into it. And then all of a sudden it turns. Like you'll be going from like all this craziness, and you'll see like work starts to flow in. And then that's when you know that you're up and running.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I can see you're really pumped about that.
Yeah. well, do you know, Luke, it's like the process of getting a business off the ground. It's like, I've got so much respect for business owners. And I mean, not everyone's a business owner, and everyone's got a place to play and a role to play. So our team members are part of our business. They're part of our engine. So their contribution is also massive. But if you're starting a business from scratch, the amount of energy you have to put in, you have to be ready for it. And I think you have to love what you do. You have to, and you have to be a bit like overboard with the love. You can't be you can't say, oh, this morning I'm just gonna just relax and just chill. Those early stages in the business are so crucial, and it's like ongoing management of keeping that blood flow and the manner in your business up. So
have you found times where you feel like you've lost sight of the vision and the passion? And if so, how did you what steps did you take to get yourself back into that space?
So I think a big thing about in me in particular is that I know that this is the work I'll do for the rest of my life. So I love it. So I never lose sight of that vision or passion. It's always within me, and I'm always ready to go. But what my goal now is to do is to bring people on board and make them the best version of themselves that they can be. But in doing that, serve our clients at Marsh Fidelity. So the mission statement keeps us grounded. It's everywhere, and creating an enduring difference. Whenever I speak to our team, I say, guys, like, you're doing something bigger than you might think through the service that you provide. So you create a value through meetings, and we always have respect in our workplace. And I think that's so important, because some workplaces, there's no respect and there's no belief in staff members. I believe 100% in every single person that works for us and in our ecosystem. Because remember, in estate administration, you've got to transfer properties. You've got to value assets sometimes. There's works of art that have to get valued. Auction places, tax professionals. All these people are part of our ecosystem. I trust them 100% and I believe in them. And that's because I've had some work experience with them and you pick up energies.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and you have to align with them. So I think it's a lot to do with the energy and being, you have to be conscious about every week that you're in business.
That's awesome.
And that's what we do.
So did you go through a coaching process, or have you had any mentors that you've had? Or
so I think one of my biggest mentors is my dad.
Okay.
Like it's not he's a very firm father, but like firm with love. And I think like just seeing him work, he moved from Zim with a borrowed bakkie and 4,000 Rand. And he's created his business, which is doing really well. And he's got a number of businesses now. But just seeing his work ethic, and his life wasn't perfect either. Yeah. And the fact that every day he's showing up and putting energy in and helping people in the community and helping his staff and growing his team, he's a massive mentor. That's I think like if you're close to someone like that, you're a dad now as well, Luke. And I think that just the way that we operate each day, my perspective is now I want Luke, my son Luke, you got a cool name. Got a cool name. It's just that I want to make my son proud of what we do. And I think like my dad was a big mentor. I also now recently got chosen by the CEO of Momentum Investor in Joburg. His name's Stanley Gabriel. And he chose 10 people globally to mentor for a full year. Awesome. And he's been mentoring me this year, and he will be mentoring me the whole year. And I think the lessons I'm learning from him are so valuable to everyone in my ecosystem, because just the fact that he's giving is making a massive ripple effect in my community. Because when I meet with my staff, I message him every Friday, and then we have one-on-one meetings as well. But like one of the first questions that he asked me when we sat down was like, you've got all these qualifications, you've done well, your business off the ground, but who are you un-CV'd? And just that one question, that was the start of our journey. And what he's basically saying is that you are not your job. You're so much more than your work. And these sort of little interactions that I have with him, because he's an actuary, he's very qualified, and I mean, when you meet with people at that level, the one thing I really realized with him is that his communication was so clear. And he's taught me things that like kindness is not always, there has to be clarity for kindness to be present, but it doesn't mean that you have to be like super nice to people. You have to push people. You have to be good in the way that you manage someone's growth. Being kind all the time can't always grow a person. Reality hits you. Exactly. Yeah. And like, I mean, his whole, the way that he's chosen me also gave me self-belief even stronger, because
that's awesome.
Yeah, so Stan's he's been awesome this year. I'm learning a lot from him as a person, and just his communication. Like when you speak with him, you know what he wants. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do as well, is that when you speak with people in your team, you need to know that when they walk away as well, is that, oh, this is what Daniel needs me to do this week, and this is what I need to do. And I think that's also a big thing that I'm learning from him.
That's awesome. So maybe wrapping up.
Yes.
What are 2 or 3 ways in which you have learned to communicate really well with your team and the people around you?
Okay, so I think a big thing is consistency, weekly meetings. If you're not having weekly meetings with your team, you don't have that relationship where communication can become clear. So you have to be consistent with your communication. Secondly, what Stan has taught me as well is that I journal now more often, because when you journal, you understand yourself better, and when you understand yourself better, you can communicate better. So those are 2 major things that I think are massive contribution to clarity and communication. Weekly meetings, consistent communication provides that clarity. And also when you journal and write down your thoughts and try and work through your thoughts, you can express them better and more clear to people around you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah.
Well, where can people find you?
So I think Google Marsh Fidelity. That's always a first option.
Yeah.
You can find us on our website, www.marshfidelity.co.za. And everything is on our website.
That's awesome. And then on social?
Social, we're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Marsh Fidelity.
Cool. I'll put those links into the description box below.
Thank you, Luke.
Daniel, what a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I feel very stoked.
Yeah.
And
it was I enjoyed it.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And your passion is contagious.
Oh, thanks,
and
Luke.
your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And well done for where you've come from and what you've been doing. And I'm really excited for your future, what it may hold.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing the rest of your journey unfold. Yeah. And hopefully being a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. And you're already a part of it.
I know. I am. Forever.
So I'm grateful. Yes, exactly. I'm super grateful. And I'd been looking for a space to have a video and podcast just introduction to our business. And when you approached me, it was like I knew that it was meant to be. Yeah, so I'm really happy.
I'm so glad that we could do this.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
And catch you guys next time. Go and visit Daniel on the socials and on the interwebs, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.